This is the final report that was released in March last year, and between this and the interim report that was released at the end of 2020, there are 210 actions that they say the Trust needed to make, and as of this month they've achieved around half. Now in a moment you'll see some of our interview where I challenge them on whether that is really quick enough. Now, as part of our visit, they invited us to take a tour around the Women and Children's Department to see some of the changes they've put in place. And we'll talk about those in more detail in just a moment. But one of the big areas they say they've been working on is accountability for some of the mistakes of the past. I've been speaking to one family who've been fighting for justice for years. Now it seems they might finally have it.
Go!
Adam Cheshire is now 11 years old. He and his mother Charlotte have spent their lives learning how to cope with his physical and learning disabilities. Disabilities linked to complications suffered during and shortly after his birth. Now, after more than a decade of fighting, Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital Trust has admitted 80% liability and agreed a compensation package providing care for Adam for the rest of his life.
There was a moment when I had a deep instinctive thought just pop into my head. It doesn't matter if I die now. It's one of my biggest fears had not just been managing his care now for me, but what happens if I die? And that, having that thought in the moment, it doesn't matter if I die now, it just felt like a release of, I don't have to worry. And what I really, really hope now is that in all of his complexity, I can just be Adam's mother.
Their case was one of more than 1,400 included in the final Ockdenen Report released in March last year. A scathing 250-page document detailing how families were failed, with mothers and babies left injured or dead as a result. It's now 10 months since that report was released and more than 2 years since the interim report was released at the end of 2020. In total, there were 210 recommendations for change. As it stands now, the Trust has only fully implemented 110, that's just over half. Another 34 say they are delivered but not yet evidenced, and there are 66 still outstanding. After months of requesting interviews to discuss this progress, the Trust's Chief Executive and Director of Nursing finally agreed to sit down with us for a chat. What was the first thing you did after reading and digesting it?
Thank you for your question around that. So clearly the Ockdenen Report sets out that we failed our communities. So for us the most important thing was to really thoroughly listen to the accounts that were provided by the families, and we thank Donna and the families for that. So to really understand what this report was saying, and that was absolutely critical because we needed to understand it to then face into the actions that we needed to take and to bring about the improvements.
To date, over the course of the two reports, you've addressed just over half of the recommendations. Are you happy with that progress?
I mean, for me, I think we've made really good progress. We're slightly ahead of where we were, but we're still wanting to complete everything in the report. So I think I won't be happy until we've done that, and then further continuous improvement beyond there.
Are you moving as quickly as you think you could?
I think we are. I mean, we do challenge ourselves about that though, because we do want to move forward more. So we do constantly ask our teams through the different processes about, could we not do a bit more? What do you think about that? And I think what that challenge has shown us is that we are very clear about why it is we are where we are.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge as a trust when trying to address the issues raised in the Ockdenen Report?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, I think we've had the broader challenge across the organisation of COVID, of all of the operational challenges, workforce challenges, and I think that the culture change piece is very significant, and culture change takes time, and also staffing, because we've worked really hard to recruit. So we're just not being complacent. We just don't want to be complacent about where we are at all and ensure that we keep that going.
Charlotte, not being complacent, they say there. So what exactly have they done?
Well, Steve, they have introduced a number of new schemes, and we can show you some more pictures from our visit which help illustrate that. There are now birthing preferences forms that mothers and families can fill in to ensure that staff are listening to mothers. And they've introduced colourful new birthing suites as well, with several options for mothers to choose from. But staffing is the big success story here. In March last year, when this report was released, they were at 43% staffing. For safe levels, they need 85%. But as of January this year, they had managed to hit 86%, which is great, though there is work to be done to make sure they continue to stick at that level. Now, we spoke to one of the medical students who are working there currently, and he was nothing but positive.
Slightly concerned with everything that was in the news. I was wondering how my training would be affected, especially with maternity only happening in our 4th year. But actually it's been really positive so far. I've had lots of different learning opportunities and the care I've seen has been excellent so far.
But there is still some concerning data coming from the Trust. Patient safety incidents are rising, and they have been rising for the past couple of years. And figures obtained by ITV Central show that between April last year and January this year, there were up to 5 incidents of babies suffering brain injuries due to lack of oxygen. There were also 11 stillbirths at the Trust. Now, we spoke to one of the families affected, and they shared their story and some photographs of their daughter taken after she was stillborn. Mia Harwood would have been 10 months old now. Her parents had planned days out with her, bought her special outfits and toys. Now, they're reminders of a life never lived. Hazel was admitted into the Princess Royal in Telford the day after the Ockdenen Report was published. After a prolonged labour made longer by staffing shortages, Mia's heart stopped beating. She was stillborn 3 days later. And Hazel believes the Trust hasn't learnt the lessons from the past quickly enough.
They failed me and my daughter, and to know that my daughter died there, I just can't go near it. And I went there for appointments in their triage, and they should have picked things up and they didn't. So I just don't trust that hospital to care for people the way that they should, personally.
A post-mortem was inconclusive, but a report by the Healthcare Safety Inspection Branch has raised questions about the way her preeclampsia was managed, saying had it been treated differently, it could have changed the outcome. Why are avoidable mistakes like that still happening?
Okay, so you'll understand that I'm not able to comment on her care. And what I would say is that the Ockdenen Report has set out a series of areas for us to focus on, and there is a whole range of actions that we're taking. And as Hayley has identified, we want to ensure that at every contact, the risk assessment is done for a woman so that we are clear about the care that needs to be provided. And of course, the nature of that may change depending on that going through the pregnancy. I think also the training. So one of the actions is about people that work together need to train together, and I think that's really important. So going through all the scenarios so that people feel equipped with the skills that they need going forward. And I think investigating thoroughly, actually involving the family in that. I think involving that externality in terms of whether it's HDIB or other experts as well, to ensure that we really understand the nature of that care.
And it's not just in maternity. Across the Trust, there's a concerning upwards trend in patient safety incidents. In September, there were 1,687. In October, there were 1,940. And 23 incidents across those 2 months were classed as serious, including 5 in maternity. This does appear to be moving in the wrong direction. What's going wrong?
I think it's difficult to comment. We obviously can't comment on individual cases, And
there are 1,900 of them.
No, I'm just saying, but there's 1,900 of them, and they're all also categorised in different levels as well, aren't they? What the incidents are showing us is there is a culture of reporting, which I think is a really positive culture of reporting. We also need to address each of those incidents, which we do as an organisation. And again, it is about the openness, the honesty and the transparency, hence that's why they go to public board.
And among those serious incidents, going back nearly a year, there were at least one serious incident involving women and children, many of them are clearly identifiably maternity. In September, there were 4. Are women safe here?
So much work has happened because of the Ockdenen Report, because of the report that we've received, because the women were really brave to talk up. And yes, we've got we've got many improvements in safety. We know that pregnancy is a really dynamic pathway, so having that risk assessment at every contact is really important to make sure that the women are on the right pathway, they've got informed choices. We've got 24/7 obstetricians on site, we've got safe maternity staffing, so yes, our women are safe.
Charlotte, it's been a heartbreaking experience for Hazel. Presumably, rebuilding trust and confidence for women is something that must be a priority now for the Trust.
Oh, absolutely, Sam. I mean, there are thousands of babies born at the Trust every single year. In 2022 alone, there were over 4,000 births there. But after such catastrophic failures in the past, which have gone on for years and years, families will still be concerned when they're pregnant, when they know they're going to have to rely on their care at Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital Trust. And in Hazel's case, she knew about the Ockdenen Report, and she said she thought that her care would be extra good because of all the attention, and she doesn't feel that she did receive the extra special care that she felt she deserved. And of course, there are still a number of actions from the Ockdenen Report which still need to be put into place in the next year or so. We will be keeping our eye on them, as we have done over the past year, to ensure that they are putting those into place. Meanwhile, there is the criminal investigation. West Mercia Police looking into the allegations of poor care in the past. So again, we will be bringing people the latest as we hear it.
Yep.